Good evening to you. It is Tuesday, the 30th of October 2012, and this is Vaper Scene. And today we're going to have a small departure from our usual program features because I have a story that I needed to bring to you. And it's a story of deception, it's one of lies, and it's one of general skullduggery. And once you've seen the VT, I'm sure you will agree with me. But let me just give you some background to this. I was approached recently via my YouTube channel by a company who wanted me to review some of their products, and would I accept them if they sent them to me for review. And after a few emails back and forth, I agreed that I would look at the products and I would do review. So nothing happened, and then last week I had a package arrive. There was no indication of where it was from apart from an address label on the back. So I thought it was probably the company who had contacted me previously, so I went to their website, checked their address to make sure it was who I thought it was, which indeed it was. When I was on the website, I noticed a few things. They were showing logos for the BBC, for the Guardian, for the Telegraph, for the Daily Mirror, for instance, on their homepage, and they were also showing the SOITA logo. So I thought, I'm just going to check these guys out because that's what I really need to do if I'm going to do a review on this kit. I need to know where it's come from. I need to know who these people are. I did some digging and I found out that they are not full members of SOITA, and they are breaking the Advertising Standards Association regulations by intimating on their website that they have been on the BBC and in the Mirror and in the Guardian, etc. Anyway, I've done a little interview with Catherine Devlin from SOITA. It's coming up now. There's some little bits in the interview that I've cut in, and these are from a telephone call that I covertly recorded last week when I spoke to this company. So they had no idea that they were being recorded at the time. Here it is. Have a look. Make your own mind up. And I'm here with Catherine Devlin from SOITA. Good evening, Catherine.
Hello, Mark.
How are we?
We're fine, if a little annoyed, but yes, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the annoyance in a minute. But what I thought would be a good idea would be if you can just let us know exactly what SOITA is about, what you do for the industry, and then how a company becomes a member.
Okay, well, SOITA was established in 2010 following the MHRA's consultation MLX 364, and the idea was to help the industry to protect itself from overzealous regulation, like making it a medicine and effectively banning the products, which is what they were talking about then, by looking for the existing regulations that cover the sale of electronic cigarette products, and then making sure that our members were complying with that legislation in full. So giving them support and advice to help them make sure that they are ticking all the boxes for due diligence and that they're basically fully legally compliant with what the law requires as it stands at the moment under the general product safety regulations and other legislation that applies under consumer product legislation effectively, rather than medicinal route, which would effectively mean a ban. So we set about finding out all of that, and then with the founding members, we obviously started with them and made sure that we were giving them the support they needed to make sure that they were legally compliant. That work goes on with each of them. We audit biannually, so twice a year they're visited, and we go through everything with them and check that everything is still up to date, legally compliant. We also do regular testing, usually tied in with that cycle, testing on the liquid products for contamination, obviously, and nicotine content to make sure that it's all as it should be. The testing of the hardware is generally done as an ongoing process whenever they bring in a new line. Obviously, we want to see that safety testing documentation for CE and ROS as it's brought into sale. So that's an ongoing process. And then as far as how a company becomes a member, basically it's, you pay your first fees, and then we get together with the company to do a mock audit, which takes them through the process so that they can see what we're going to be looking at and looking at helping them with. And then it's a case of working with them over the next 28 days from the date of the mock audit before we get to a real audit, so that they got time, if you like, to find out what they need to be doing and start putting some of that in place before we go and do a full proper audit. Then they go and do we go and do the full audit, after which they've got 28 days to get compliant. Otherwise, it goes through as a fail, effectively. Very, very rarely we'll get a member join and they're already compliant at the point of mock audit, but it's not usually the case. Most of the companies have something to learn, and there's usually something that we can find that we can help them with and just make sure that we can tick that box off as well. But it's very much a sort of mutually supportive relationship rather than being judgmental like a regulator would. And we also try, once we've got them to the point where they're most of the way there, at least, we'll try and link them up with their trading standards officer locally, their local regulator, so that they've got a helpful, mutually beneficial relationship with their government regulator on the ground as well. So it's an ongoing process. And obviously the political campaigning, which is separate from that. But yeah,
so you act on behalf of your members, which are the people.
We do, but it does go wider than that, because the work that we're doing on the political side of things is obviously trying to protect everybody's right, particularly freedom of choice for smokers, you know, as wide as that goes, because we believe very strongly that smokers should have the truth told to them about the options that are available to them. We believe that there are significant problems at the moment in the education of the public in terms of public health awareness about smoking, and particularly about tobacco harm reduction. So it's about really getting that message across to the policymakers that there are other options than quit or die, and that this might give smokers and vapers and the public generally better outcomes for population level public health outcomes if you encourage people to switch to a lower risk product rather than continuing to smoke, because we all know that NRT doesn't work. So that's another strand to what we do. I mean, obviously the work we're doing with our members is very specifically to keep the industry's nose clean, if you like, and make sure that it's, you know, behaving as it should, so that when we take the political argument to the policymakers, we can, if you like, hold our members up as an example of how the existing legislation works in practice. And that's been great, because we've now got sort of a couple of years worth of historical documentation which proves the robustness of the existing regulatory framework, and the fact that it doesn't need to change to becoming a medicine or anything to make it safe. It's safe enough where it currently sits. So it's very much a two-pronged approach, if you like. There's the auditing side of it, and then there's the protecting vapers' rights side of it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important position to be in as well, because there's so much going on at the moment with the WHO and with the MRHA, and even NICE are involved on the tobacco harm reduction.
We are stakeholders in the NICE processes, yeah, which is useful. And in actual fact, we've just had the recent guidance published, which is beginning to move in the right direction. But obviously there are issues, and we recently, last week, we attended a conference in London which was specifically about public health, and gave a masterclass presentation there. And the feedback that we got from that was that what the smoking cessation service providers really need to see from our industry is data on, well, they term it efficacy, which is problematic for me, but what they need to see is evidence in the form of some kind of data. It can be anecdotal, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be clinical trial data or anything sinister like that, but they need some data to show how long people are successfully making the switch for, and how many cigarettes they're avoiding, and that sort of data. So we're going to be looking to engage with the community at large to do some surveys and try and gather that data for them, so that those healthcare providers who are working in smoking cessation services and who do recognise the potential with e-cigs can actually, with some confidence, recommend them to people and say, you know, yeah, okay, we can offer you NRT, we can offer you counselling. You might also want to try electronic cigarettes. So it's an ongoing process, obviously, and we've still got a long way to go, but significant progress has been made. And I certainly think that, you know, the threat of an imminent ban is greatly reduced now. Not just down to the work that we've done, but, you know, the whole community. There's a lot of activists all around the world. There's a lot of people fighting for this. So we're just one strand, if you like, in that process. But it's everybody's got to do their bit, haven't they? You know, I mean, certainly what Vapor Trails TV does is another strand, which is very important. You know, it's that outreach, it's keeping the community informed of what's going on, and that sort of thing. So it all ties together and becomes a collective effort, which is very powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. And with AIMSA as well across in America, doing something similar their side, plus the other trade associations, all kind of getting together and pooling resources and getting the information out there. And I think information is the key here.
Absolutely, and I must admit the sharing of information across the different trade associations. I mean, we've had some contact with SOITA, which is great. AIMSA is we're really pleased to see that, because again, for over here, we're looking to create a sort of recognisable standard for the manufacture of e-liquid, because there are things that you have to do and not do in the manufacturing processes so that you've got a safe end product. And obviously, nobody in the community wants to be vaping something that's not safe enough. You know, obviously, it's not going to be inherently completely absolutely safe, but then nothing is.
No.
But we've got to make sure that it's as safe as it can reasonably be, so that people can vape with confidence, and that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, and I think the vaping with confidence is maybe a good step into the next part of our conversation, because...
You make me annoyed now, aren't you?
The viewers will have known, because I would have already introduced this piece, but we spoke last week about a company that is, or was, because their website is currently down, they were showing the SOITA logo and purporting to be members of SOITA. You've got SOITA down. Can you tell me what SOITA is? Because I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, SOITA is Electronic Industry Trade Association.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you're a member?
Yeah, we are a member as well.
Your information was that they are not. They were, but they are no longer.
They were, and when a member joins, as I said before, we do the mock audit, and then we want to go back and do the full audit, having given them some support along the way. They joined in May, this company. They paid their, as was then, their joining fee in their first month of 99, so they paid £349 in May. They joined. We went down to visit them to do the mock audit. We had several exchanges of emails and phone calls then offering them support and help. Then we tried to book a follow-up audit and couldn't get a hold of them. And tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to get hold of them, to no avail. They were not answering their phones. They were not returning messages. They were not returning emails. And on it went, and just nothing. And I was aware, obviously, that they had our logo up on their site. We'd seen that their website wasn't compliant in any way, shape, or form, never mind the copyright issues, which I'm sure you'll go into. But, you know, there was just no compliance there at all. And it was really distressing, because there was our logo sitting there on this site that was patently not compliant and really irritating. And we couldn't get a hold of them to do anything about it. The only thing we could do was remove them from our site, obviously.
Would I be correct in saying that you are not actually a member of SOITA?
Yes, we are.
Because I've spoken to SOITA, and they assure me that you are not a full member. You haven't paid for your membership, and you also haven't.
We pay for this.
And you also haven't paid for and complied with any of the compliance that's been recommended. Was that right?
Yeah, in my information, we pay for everything. My boss pay for everything to be in SOITA.
And I mean, you know, when people are looking for SOITA members, they're going to be going to our site to find them. But it's very irritating to see someone who is that non-compliant saying they're a member of SOITA when they're not.
Yeah.
So you annoyed me.
Well, the first thing I did when I saw that the SOITA logo was check their status on the SOITA website, and that rang alarm bells. The first thing that rang alarm bells for me was the homepage, where they're quite clearly non-compliant, showing the BBC logo and the Daily Mirror logo, etc. And in the conversation I had with the company, they said that they themselves hadn't been in those publications, but Electronic Cigarettes had. You've also on your homepage, it says, as seen on the BBC, the Daily Telegraph, the Guardian and the Mirror. So has True Vape appeared in all those publications?
No. This one is about products. This product you can see also, you know, information sometimes, you know, on BBC or on the Guardian, you know.
Okay, but are you saying that True Vape has been seen on the BBC and in the Daily Telegraph? Hello?
Yeah, hello, I hear you again.
Okay. Yeah, so are you saying that True Vape has been on the BBC and in the Daily Telegraph, or your products have?
No, products.
What, specifically your product?
Actually, no, my product, specifically, electronic cigarettes product.
And it's more than likely true that every one of those publications has had a story about e-cigs in them,
Yes.
but it's not compliant to do that. And the ruling from the ASA on the 24th of October quite clearly backed that up. And they'd only had one complaint from a member of the public in relation to the story. So, they backed it up very quickly and very strongly with one complaint.
But we're delighted to see that, because one of the things that we've been really struggling with in this country and indeed in Europe generally is the fact that there isn't actually a problem with the regulations at all. There is a major problem with a lack of enforcement of the existing regulations, largely led by the MHRA, because they've made it all such a grey area. But nevertheless, if we can rely on good government enforcement for making sure that the existing regulations are complied with as they're supposed to be, then it's much, much better. And we are really pleased to see that the ASA was taking firm action on that. And we would be equally pleased to see that if it were against one of our members, to be fair. Because, we are about legal compliance. We're not about protecting our members from regulation enforcement. We're about making sure that they are compliant so that they're not going to be at risk from regulatory enforcement, if you like. So they're already ahead of the game. So, I think it's unlikely that you're going to see one of our members claiming that they've been on the BBC, ITV, blah, 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 unless they have.
GG, because you want one.
Ive Ever and Ive Ever Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iveever.co.uk and iveever-elixir.co.uk. Ive Ever and iveever-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
And now back to Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. It's perfectly okay to put that information there if it's true. If it's not true, then it's not.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
You can't extrapolate that just because electronic cigarettes have been shown on BBC, ITV and in all the press that your product has been shown on the BBC, because it hasn't.
Absolutely.
Necessarily, unless it has,
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of legal compliance, we were far more concerned about the actual products not being legally compliant and therefore probably being dangerous. That's the big worry. because, you know, where you don't have that basic safety testing in place. And I mean, that's the starting point for us with auditing, always safety documentation for the hardware every single time. And we want a sample of the liquid as soon as we can to test and make sure that there's nothing dangerous in there, that the nicotine content level is correct, that there's no dangerous contamination and so on. Because without the basic safety stuff, there's no point going any further than that. You know, we need to make sure that the safety parameters are met. And their products were not going to be able to meet that without serious help. Now, we could have given them that help. We were trying to give them that help, but they just fell off the face of the earth. They just disappeared and became completely uncontactable. I was so thrilled when you rang me to say that you had got in touch with them, because it's like, finally, you know, things can happen now, because it was just, we couldn't get through.
Rather interesting conversation, put it that way.
Yes.
Especially when I asked him the question, what E-cigs was, and was he a member? And he answered to me yes. They also, like the copyright issue with the blogs from the information from other people's websites, the explanation I received was that it had been created by a member of staff. I'm just seeing you've got lots of information as well in your blog. Who writes all that?
Yeah, one of the workers.
One of the workers. And the information on your blog that is written by a member of your staff, is it not the case that you've just taken that information from other people's websites?
I don't know.
Okay. I have spoken to the companies concerned. I've spoken to the websites concerned where the information on your blog is quite clearly taken from their websites. So would you like to give me any explanation as to why the blog entries on your website are coming word for word from people like Vapestick? Or are you saying that they've taken your blogs and put them on their web pages?
I can't give you this information at the moment because I don't write it, you know.
Well, you told me when I asked you the question that a member of your staff wrote all the blogs.
Yes.
Quite clearly not the case.
Yeah, but it was a member of somebody else's staff. That's the problem.
Yes. It was a member of someone else's staff.
Actually, the most dangerous part of the E-cig kit is the plug-in wall charger. So if you are sent, as a reviewer, if you are sent a kit that is going to require you to plug into the mains to charge the battery. Now, I know a lot of them are USB, but some of them are still using plug-in wall chargers. If you are sent unsolicited a product kit that's going to require you to plug it into the mains to charge the battery, you don't want to be doing that unless you know that that's been properly safety tested, because plugs that are not properly made to the right specifications for safety in the UK, certainly with our higher voltages and so on, can be enormously dangerous. And this is the biggest concern for trading standards officers about our industry.
Yeah.
Far more than the juice or anything else is the plug-in wall chargers, because the plugs can be literally lethal. There's two risks. One is that you're going to get a very severe electric shock, which, you know, if you've got even a slight propensity, which you may or may not know about, to heart problems, that could be a fatal incident. Absolutely. There and then. The other thing, of course, is house fires, yes, which are caused by faulty plugs all the time. And then it's not even just you, it's you and your family as a reviewer. That's you and your family at risk for the sake of a product that you've been sent by God knows whom for the purposes of review. It's not worth the risk. It's just not worth the risk.
Now, there was a story a couple of years ago, I think. It was about a young boy, and he'd gone away on holiday with his family, and he'd taken a charger for his Nintendo from a vendor, and it was a copy. It wasn't the real thing, and he died. He got electric shock, and it killed him. So, you know, I'm with you 100% on the electrical safety. I mean, I've got the offending item here. This is the product I was sent, and it does indeed, I'm making lots of noise here with my packaging, it does include a plug-in USB charger.
Yeah, and I can tell you now, that is not compliant.
So suffice to say, I'm not reviewing this kit. This kit is getting sent back once I finish my story.
You don't want to be plugging that in.
I won't be using it. I won't be doing anything with it apart from sending it back, because, you know, I can't guarantee that this is compliant in any shape or form. If the website is not compliant, then you can sure as hell think that this is not compliant either. So I'll just get rid of that. So it's standing on the company, which is truevape.co.uk. They are not a member of E-cigs?
They are not members of SOITA now, and I doubt very much if we would welcome them back with open arms in the future, to be fair, because the way they've behaved is absolutely despicable.
They started the process, they didn't finish the process, they didn't finish the conformance, and they were removed from your member list. They're not on your website, and they shouldn't be using the E-cigs logo on their website if and when their website comes back online.
Certainly not.
So I guess, guys out there, if you see the E-cigs logo on someone's website, go to E-cigs.org, is that right? www.E-cigs.org,
yep.
And check the member list. If they're not on there, then send E-cigs an email, just in case they haven't updated it, which is what I basically did. Just to check that it hasn't been updated, and if they're not on there and they are displaying the E-cigs logo, then let E-cigs know, and don't deal with them. It's as simple as that. Don't deal with a company that is going to put lies and untruths and
dangerous products
and potentially dangerous products in your hands.
Something else I need to make you aware of.
Okay.
When you're talking about E-cigs members having the logo on their site, but it not showing on the E-cigs site, when a member first joins, it's quite common because we send them out our logo pretty early on. We don't always get their logos to put up on our website for a few weeks. So there is sometimes that gap between them having the E-cigs logo on their site and then us getting them up on our website, because we're waiting for their pictures, their images of their logos. So there can be a bit of a gap sometimes. But again, if you email us, we can let you know whether or not they have actually joined and whether or not they are actually members. Okay.
So that's the answer there. If you see the E-cigs logo on a vendor's website and it's not on the E-cigs website, send them an email just to double check, and they will let you know whether or not they are a member. Catherine Devlin,
absolutely.
Thank you very much indeed, and we shall speak soon.
Thank you, Mark. Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So there you have it. You know all that I know. This is what you will currently see if you tried the TrueVape website. As you can see, their site is currently down. Whether or not that is because of the threat of legal action from Michael Clapper at VapeStick, I don't know. Or if it's to do with the covert phone conversation that I recorded last week, I don't know. What I will say is that you've seen the footage, you've heard what they have said, and you've heard what Catherine Devlin has said from E-cigs, that TrueVape are not members. They're not currently members of E-cigs. They started the process, but they didn't finish it. And I'd like to make this point as well. I'm in no way saying that if a company is not a member of E-cigs, that they are not to be trusted. That's not the case at all. There are many, many companies out there who are not members of trade associations, and they're perfectly honest and trustworthy, and you can buy from them with confidence. What I am saying is, if you see a company that is saying that they are a member of a trade association, such as E-cigs, and they are clearly not after you've done some research and found out the fact, then don't deal with them. Simple as that. I will not review any pieces of kit or any juice from a company that has lies on their website. I will not do it. I can't be associated with any company such as that. As a YouTube reviewer, if you do get an unsolicited request from a company, as I did, check them out. And if you don't like what you see, don't accept the goods, and don't do a review, and don't associate yourself with a company such as that. So that was Vaper Scene on Tuesday the 30th of October. Come back next week. We've got Juicy back. We've got the interview with Hannah, who creates the HH357, as I mentioned last week, and we've got some more good stuff. And we'll also have Show Us Yours back. So don't forget, send your emails to vaperscene@vaportrails.tv with your pictures, and you could win a bottle of juice. Take it easy. Don't forget, Dave's back tomorrow with VT Talk. Again on Thursday with the Haze Hour. Dave is back on Sunday with Dave's Tackle Box. I do the same every week, don't I? And then Mark and Gary are back on Monday. I'll see you next week. Take it easy. Peace out.